Hi, I'm Danny Gasparini, and welcome to the very first virtual Penn Voice. Like many other news programs, we've had to take our programs and conversations to our homes. So you're actually sitting in my home office here in Redwood City, all with the familiar noises of any household. So you may hear dogs, you may hear the door open, but as with any news program, we keep going, and I'm so excited to welcome our first guest for our virtual Penn Voice, Dawn Cecil. Dawn is representing the San Mateo County Economic Development Association, and we're so lucky to have Dawn here with us. So Dawn, prior to COVID-19 and what SAMCEDA has been doing with regard to the economy and small business, tell our viewers just a little bit about what the San Mateo County Economic Development Association would be doing normally at a time pre-COVID-19.
Hi, Danny. Thank you for having me. And on behalf of Roseanne Faust and the board of SAMCEDA, thank you for the opportunity. Well, before COVID-19, we were focused on transportation. The Express Lane project on 101, Caltrain electrification, the Caltrain business plan, SamTrans, ensuring a strong local economy for businesses of all sizes, working with our major employers, to ensure that we're balancing quality of life with a strong economy, good jobs. And, that all sort of changed and pivoted when we found ourselves in the midst of a global pandemic. And so at that point, Roseanne Faust is asked by the county manager's office to be a resource for businesses and a part of their task force on COVID-19 response. And so if anyone knows her, they know that she pivoted immediately, supporting San Mateo County's business community of all sizes, the chambers, economic development departments, and such.
So let's talk about that, pivoting. I think it's a word that best describes a lot of us, whether we're a small business, whether we're a nonprofit, individuals, we've all had to pivot. We're getting decisions handed down to us from data science, from various agencies, whether it's state, local, federal. And sometimes that information changes minute by minute, hourly. How does a business organization respond to that? So I'd like you to speak a little bit to the decision-making process. So again, everyone's looking at this pandemic differently. So there's the eyes of science and keeping individuals safe, and then there's the eyes of the economy and ensuring that essential businesses remain open, that we have food, we do have shelter, safety, medical. And then we also have small businesses who've been mandated to shut down. So how does SAMCEDA, how are they part of that decision-making process?
So Danny, this is a public health crisis, and I know sometimes it's hard to remember that and to think about that. What's missing for so many people, natural disaster like an earthquake or a hurricane, you'd walk outside your home, or you might not even be in your home anymore because it has fallen down around you. And you would see these visual signs of a catastrophe. And so I think some people are struggling that isn't what they see when they walk outside their home. But everyone has to remember this is a public health crisis. And every decision that every Department of Public Health and the health officers have made in the 6 counties since March 16th has been about saving lives, about reducing the body count, and about ensuring that our hospitals and our healthcare system aren't overwhelmed to the point of collapse. So that whole flattening the curve was what this was all about. And so you make decisions. You make decisions to support that public health crisis and the decisions that were made to ensure that we could survive this from a healthcare and a medical perspective. As time has gone on, as the different updates have come out from the health officers, you look for appropriate ways to talk about how to balance the need for public health and public safety with smart, safe ways that we might get people back to work. And I think construction is the best example of that. In the latest health order, the restriction on all construction was removed, and we basically default to the governor's recommendations and the governor's rules on that. And so construction is resuming. The idea is as long as you can get people to be able to work safely in a construction environment, those people are no longer needing to be at home and potentially trying to access other assistance programs, and they're beginning to get the economy back to work. But it is only about public safety.
So let me, and I appreciate that because I think the governor's been very keen on every time he speaks, talking about how his decisions are going to be based on science and on data, not political views. He wants to, as you had mentioned, save lives and flatten the curve. In addition to that, I really have to commend both the governor and what we're doing here in San Mateo County with Mike Hallegy as our county manager, and of course, all of the city managers as well as mayors, understanding that at some point in time there will be economic fallout, so that an organization like SAMCEDA and Roseanne Faust as the CEO are involved in the conversation from the beginning. And I find that it was very comforting to know that while we're basing our decisions based on data and science, we do know that the economic development experts are at the table, because at some point in time, our decisions will be influenced when it is safe and when it is appropriate by the economy. And how do we get in from a survival mode to a recovery and resiliency mode? And I think that as we sit today on May 4th, that we may be looking towards that recovery phase. Would you have a comment about that?
Absolutely. I think everyone should know that from the very beginning, County Manager Mike Hallegy, the Board of Supervisors, everyone at the County of San Mateo, and within our cities have been focused on the impact that these decisions would have on every aspect of our lives, including business and the small businesses and businesses of all sizes, which is why SAMCEDA and Roseanne Faust were asked at the very beginning, because the county manager knew this was going to be devastating to some businesses, and we needed to start focusing on March 16th about what we were going to do to support businesses throughout and when it ends and beyond that. And one of the first examples of that is the San Mateo County Strong Fund. So that was an effort that the county was a full partner in with SAMCEDA and initially the Silicon Valley Community Foundation. The recognition that individuals and families, nonprofits, and small businesses were going to be impacted from the moment that this decision was made. And we needed to start raising money and identifying funding that could support the core service agencies for the most vulnerable individuals and families, helping nonprofits who are providing those services to be able to staff up and be able to handle the need that was coming, and then to try and help our small businesses be able to reopen on the other side of this, and also to have the resources they needed to try and pivot to, if you're a restaurant, move to delivery or takeout, access federal and state programs, and just try and survive. And I think Roseanne Faust says it best. The goal of SAMCEDA, and working with all of the chambers and all of the cities and city managers and mayors and everybody, is we want to save every business that we can.
Right.
So the Strong Fund was
Yeah.
So the Strong Fund was set up to fund all of those. And now regarding small business grants, we've actually partnered with the San Mateo Credit Union, who's been an amazing partner to the county, to administer the small business grant piece of the overall San Mateo County Strong Fund, and the Board of Supervisors' initial $3 million contribution to that.
And so that launched this past Monday. Can you give us a little, some statistics around the applications, number of applications, the amount of money that will be granted, when it might be?
Sure. So regarding the small business grant portion of the overall San Mateo County Strong Fund, we had an initial allocation of $1 million in Measure K sales tax funding from the county. That will, if each grant ends up being the full $10,000, which is equivalent to 2 months of operating expenses. So if every grant is $10,000, and there's no guarantee they will be, but if they are, $1 million is 100 grants. So what seems like a lot of money is important but that only equals 100 businesses. There are thousands and thousands of small businesses across San Mateo County. So in addition to the money from the Board of Supervisors, SAMCEDA has been leading an effort to raise money from each of the cities that have the capacity to also fund grants for the small businesses in their community. We're at about $1.7 million in city funding. We're also pursuing some foundations and other money. So I think we'll be getting to an additional $2 million pretty quickly, and that's going to be targeted city by city, depending on where the money came from. We opened the application portal on Monday, April 27th. It was open for about 24 hours, not even that full amount of time. Over 2,700 imported into the portal to begin the process. When it was all said and done, there are 1,232 completed applications that are in the process of being reviewed for eligibility. So in thinking back, the $1 million from the Board of Supervisors is 100 grants. We have 1,232 completed applications. They may not all be eligible, but we are several $1 million behind just what the need for a 24-hour application period told us from San Mateo County small businesses.
So is there future strategies to bridge that gap, or are you going to sort of wait and see what those 1,200 applications look like? Again, understanding whether or not a small business should be eligible for the full 10,000, or if in fact something less than that would still support that company and therefore leave room for another small business.
Sure. So we are continuing to make presentations to city councils and town councils in the hopes that they'll join in with their peer agencies to give money to the Strong Fund. We continue to pursue foundation funding, funding from businesses, major employers, and anyone that we quite frankly get our hands on who might be able to make a contribution to the Strong Fund for any of the categories, whether it's individuals and families, nonprofits, or small businesses. Of course, SAMCEDA is supporting across all three, but we do prioritize these small business grants because, you know, it is to say it's even tough out there for some of these small business owners is a horrible understatement. You know, it was devastating. Another 30 days is more devastating, but again, it's a public health crisis. And the way that we describe it is every $10,000 we raise is potentially one more San Mateo County small business that we can save and help be there on the other side of the shelter-in-place order.
Right. And let me see if I could do just take 30 seconds or so and recap. For if you're an individual who either owns a small business or knows of your neighbor or family member, there, of course, is the federal subsidies that everyone has been talking about, whether it be the federal subsidy that each individual may or may not get based on their tax returns. There's also the PPP, the CARES Act, the Payroll Protection Act. That's another federal form of subsidy that businesses may access. And then, Dawn, you were specifically talking about San Mateo County Strong. There's a $3 million account. $2 million of that is supporting 3 local agencies that are doing our basic food, shelter, health issues, Samaritan House being one of them, First 5, etc. You were just talking about the $1 million fund to small businesses that's being administered through small business grant applications through San Mateo County Credit Union. I just want to make sure that I've recapped that for our viewers so they sort of understand where the federal dollars are, where the local dollars are. And I would say that we should just direct viewers to the SAMCEDA website under their COVID-19 banner because all of these are referenced there.
Absolutely. There's actually 8 core service agencies that the county has partnered with for some time to deliver services to the most vulnerable populations in San Mateo County. So think seniors, think homeless. The there are also 7 homeless shelters that the county is supporting through this crisis as well. And then the board this Tuesday, I think we'll get a recommendation back from county staff about how to expand their support for nonprofits in San Mateo County.
So, Dawn, we just have about a minute left. I want to make sure that you have the last word in being able to communicate to our community. What will SAMCEDA look like? What is the focus for SAMCEDA? I mean, obviously, we still need to build our toll roads. We still need to get housing built, our transportation infrastructure. We still need our high-speed rail. But what does life for SAMCEDA look like in the near future?
So Danny, we haven't taken our eye off of any of the balls, whether it's transportation, having a strong local economy. What we're now pivoting to and working with the county manager's office and the cities and towns and elected officials is we're continuing on the near-term support for small businesses and everybody who is suffering. We're also looking to the 30, 90, and even beyond resiliency plans about how to get people back to work, how to get riders back on Caltrain, how to do it safely, and plan for a future where I'm not sure it'll ever look the way it did before, but we are a pretty unique community of 20 cities and towns in the county. We come together. It brings out the best in us. I have seen a lot of different people working side by side. We were the first to make these decisions in terms of the public health officers, and hopefully we'll be the first to recover.
Well, Don, I want to thank you so much for representing the San Mateo County Development Association today. I think what I've heard in the last 15 minutes is there is hope. Somebody is paying attention to our small business community, our economy, and our health. That we can do that in tandem, and we can look forward to bringing jobs back in a safe manner and getting our residents and our friends and family back to work, and that there's a great organization, including our cities and counties, thinking about us and thinking about how we recover in a safe manner. So, Don, thank you so much. Our great thanks to the county.
Thanks, Danny.
All right, everybody. We hope to continue to do our virtual Penn Voice and bring you important community conversation while we're sheltering in place. I hope you enjoyed this first segment. There is more to come, and we'll see you next time.